Good evening. Welcome to the question of the day. Active shooting incidences and EQ. What's the connection? As most of you know, several cities experienced devastating shootings this week and several this past year. Melanie and I have family in some of those areas, and you may as well. And like so many, we were concerned for their safety. And while our family members were fortunate to be safe and without harm, other family members, friends, and coworkers were hurt and some even fatally injured at the hand of somebody else's violent outburst. It's during times of chaos and uncertainty, and yes, especially during active shootings, when we rely on those that can remain calm, cool, and collective to help us, maybe even save us, and help us find safety. For the past several years, I've studied emotional intelligence and leadership effectiveness for nearly 30 years. So trust me when I tell you that how some people responded to this week's chaos provides some lessons that we can all learn from. Let me explain. The problem with these highly emotional and violent outbursts by one person is that it triggers the self-preservation response inside every one of us, which is to freeze, flee, or fight. A survival mechanism that God put in our brains to help us survive when a perceived threat is nearby. It's also referred to as an amygdala hijack. This hijack of our brain shuts down all unnecessary functions, only to seek self-preservation, really. And as soon as the threat is perceived, adrenaline and cortisol are released into our bloodstreams, and fear, that emotion that's mostly feared this day would come, is on high alert and trying to run the show. Blood is rushed to your extremities. You'll feel amped, overwhelmed, and for so many, it's paralyzing. For others, they have the urge to run. Where? It doesn't matter, but hopefully to safety and as fast as they can, while some want to fight the threat before them. So who do we look at these times of crisis and chaos? Well, today I want to acknowledge the first responders, both the professional emergency service personnel and those good Samaritans that were able to effectively set aside their own self-preservation tendencies long enough to help others, lead people to safety, or to neutralize the shooter. How do these people step up, and why do so many turn to them, these unknown, unspoken, unsung heroes, for direction, guidance, and assistance in those times of uncertainty? Well, imagine if you were in that situation, and Lord forbid you never are. But who would you follow or look to for help? Someone that's clearly overwhelmed and freaking out themselves, or the person that, despite the chaos, is able to remain calm, cool, and collective? Clearly, you would choose the latter. Now, whether or not you're in a chaotic or dangerous situation, or simply an organization that's in turmoil, you'll follow the person that's able to lead and manage themselves well first. Now, didn't those same people experience a rush of adrenaline, cortisol, and strong emotional reactions like everyone else? Of course they did. What they did differently was they were able to manage those emotions and focus their highly charged brains, body, and energy on what they could do to help others. And that's not an easy task to do in a highly volatile and dangerous situation. I'm sure it wasn't easy for the soldier from Fort Bliss, Private First Class Glendon Oakley Jr., who is being hailed as a hero after he helped evacuate children from a Texas shopping mall during one of those mass shootings on Saturday. He's quoted as saying, "I saw a bunch of kids running around without parents, and tried to pick up as many of them as I could and bringing them with me," as he told one news station. I'm sure it wasn't easy for those unsung heroes that ran, but yelled and shouted to warn as many people as possible and redirect young and elderly to safety. It wasn't easy for the folks that applied pressure to wounds until EMTs could arrive, and moms and dads who held children's hands and hugged them like they were their own because they were separated from their parents. Strangers helped elderly to move faster, as fast as they could, and to get to safety. Sure, it wasn't easy for the mom who shielded her own child from a gunshot that she absorbed and was killed from while her child survived. Nor easy for the police officers that ran toward the shooter when everyone else was running away. For the EMTs that responded to the numerous injuries and the people that needed their help and needed it now. Well, there was more need than EMTs. Nor for the many others that we'll never know about who jumped in to help, to give a lending hand to somebody, to look beyond themselves. Now, what do these people have in common? And what can we learn from them? I believe there are 3 lessons that we can learn from these folks. Now, honestly, I've never spoken personally to any of these folks, right? But here's what I believe they can teach us. Is they put emotional intelligence into action by exercising great self-awareness and self-management first. They were then able to recognize the situation they were in and what the people around them needed and what they could do to help. 2, panic fuels confusion and prohibits you from seeing opportunities before you. By not panicking, they were able to see past their own self-preservation and respond to the needs of others. And thirdly, I believe that what you pay attention to grows. And what they focused on was what they could do, rather than on what they couldn't do or how scared they were. As I said earlier, it's during times of these chaos and uncertainty, and yes, especially during active shootings, when we really rely on those that can remain calm, cool, and collective to lead us, save us, and help us find safety. So my hat is off to all the first responders and unsung heroes for the emotional intelligence and bravery that you demonstrated that made it easy for others who were in that situation to follow your lead and example. And here's my challenge for us that weren't involved in any of the recent active shooting situations. And again, I pray that you never are. My challenge is to decide today what kind of person you want to be in times of uncertainty and chaos, because they will come. Will you be the one freaking out and panicking and looking for a certain kind of person? Or will you be that person who's emotionally intelligent enough to lead and help others when it really counts? Until tomorrow, I encourage you to also show appreciation and gratitude for those first responders, the professionals, and those good Samaritans. And perhaps hug your family just a little tighter tonight. God bless.